Hello everyone, I'm Akriti, your host for today, and this seminar is brought to you by COE. And today we have Ellen with us, all the way from Malaysia. And guys, if you have, this is the series number 6, and if you have not watched our previous sessions, do watch it. Like we have it on our YouTube channel. So without a further ado, let's hand it over to Ellen.
Right. So namaste, good day, everyone. So good morning in India. In Malaysia, I would say it's good afternoon. As you can refer to the time is 1:36 p.m. So it's good afternoon in Malaysia and good morning in India. So namaste, everyone. If you can hear me, please type number 1 in the chat box. And if you can see my screen, please type number 2 in the chat box because what we will be covering today is on Power Query. Wow, that is interesting. All right, so thank you so much everyone for typing 1 and 2. Okay, so what we are going to cover. So I need to write like something like a whiteboard so that you can actually understand what I'm trying to cover today. Today I'm going to cover is Power Query. So first we need to understand the word called query. Okay, so first thing is in query, when you talk about in English, query means question. Okay, so in English, query means question or inquiry or asking. All right. So that is what query means in English. But in IT terminology, when you talk about information technology or computer science, query means is basically a vehicle that connects data, that transport data from one source to another. So for example, like BW query. Okay, there is a software called BW query. So BW means business warehouse query. Business warehouse query, what they do is they connect data from SAP to Excel. That is BW query. Next one is Google Sheet query. In Google Sheet, there is a function called query. And this function can import data from external source, from a different website, and so on. And then, of course, we have SQL or SQL, structured query language. This one also can actually connect data. And now we are going to cover is Power Query. So Power Query, interestingly, it's available in Power BI and also Excel. So the today's topic is on Power Query. What is Power Query? It's a vehicle that connects data from one source to another. When you talk about Power Query, we are talking about ETL. So basically, Power Query can do three things, which is ETL. There is a Wikipedia page on ETL. E means extract, T for transformation, L for load. So we are going to cover these three topics: extract, transformation, and load. So what is extract? Extract means import data. Basically, Power Query can import data. And then if we talk about load, all right, so I need to go pages by pages. So let me start with extract. Power Query, extract. So no worries, I will pass this file to y'all at the end of the session. So what it can do is it can import data from internet, from a text pad, text or notepad or CSV file or Excel, another Excel file, or even you can also import from a folder. So Power Query has that power to import data from external sources. And then the another one, if you remember, is I say ETL. So let me start with L first. Power Query also can load data. Okay, Power Query, it can actually load data in various formats, such as table format, pivot table format, pivot chart format, or to save space, only create connection only. If you're using Power BI, it will just load, close, and apply. But in Excel, we can actually load in various formats. And then before that, I need to explain on transform. So Power Query also can also transform data. This is a very, very big topic. It's not possible for me to write in one slide. But how it can transform data? It can either unpivot data, unpivot the columns, or sometimes we learn merge queries, We learn on append queries. We also learn how to consolidate, filter, and so on. So I'll just put here as extra. So basically, what Power Query can do is ETL. So I need to show the first example. So let us go to the first example. So if you look in the WhatsApp groups and also in the chat box, I got share you this folder. So let us open this folder. So right now we have a PDF file which is BMW. So let me open this file. So once I open this file, of course, this is the BMW car models and the respective price in MYR, which is Malaysia ringgit. Okay, not Indian rupees, but Malaysia ringgit. So we have all the models, like the series and type of the models. And then we have the specs, like what is the assembly, what is the body type, and also we have the price. So if just here I scroll down, we have the further details and so on. So now what I want to do is, number one is I want to import this data and I want to do some transformation and how I load it in an Excel file. So let's get started. So the thing is, if you want to import a data from PDF, you need to go to data. As you can see here, we have data. Then we go to get data from file from PDF. So my friends, if you can see from PDF, can you type number 3 in the chat box? Okay, so why from PDF? Because we are going to import a data from PDF. So I'm going to click it over here. So once I click it over here, you will notice that a box will appear. So you must know where you save your file. So I save in a desktop and my desktop name is 10 November. So 10 November 2024. And this is the folder. So this is the PDF file and I press import. Once I press import, you will notice that a big box will appear. So this box will ask you which table or which page. I want to select page 1 only because page 1 we have these models, these car details and so on. So I'm not going to click transform. I'm not going to click load. I'm going to click transform data. I'm not going to click load. I'm going to click transform data. So once I click transform data, it will automatically go to Power Query Editor. So Power Query Editor is where we will do the cleaning and so on. So these are the details. So if you just say compare to our PDF, this is the information. So what I want to do is I only want the series. That means one column for the series, one column for the type of models, and then specs, and also this recommended retail price. I don't want the extended warranty. So what I'll do is, so the first column is not necessary. So I will remove the first column. Done. And then after that, if you notice carefully, here we have all these informations over here. And if you notice, these rows is not necessary. This row, this row, this row is not necessary. So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4 rows is not necessary. So I want to remove the last 4 row. So under home, we have remove row. I want to remove bottom row. Why bottom row? Because these 4 is located at the bottom. So remove bottom row and then you will notice a box will appear. How many rows I want to remove? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 rows and I press OK. So automatically it will remove the 4 rows. And then I want to do the same thing also. I want to remove the top rows as well. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 rows is not necessary. I want to remove them. So remove top row. Why I select top row? Because this is located at the top. So top rows, and then I put here 5 and I put here OK. So right now we do have these car details and then we do have the spec and then we do have this further details. So this column is not necessary. You can actually remove this column. And I also don't want the extended warranty. So this column also you can remove. So I'll just delete this and this column also I delete. So now we have the price, we have the spec, and we have the model. But I want to have a dedicated column for just the series, like 1 series, 2 series, 3 series. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use conditional column. Add column, conditional column. My friends, can you see conditional column? Can you type number 4 if you can see conditional column? So number 4 here, if you see here, there's a conditional column. I'm going to click here. And then what I'm going to do next is, okay, if this say this column has null, that means if just say column number 3. Because if you see here, 1 series, null. 2 series, null. And then if 3 series, null. 4 series also null. So what I want to do is, if just say this column 3 is equals to null, Then what I want to do is I want to return the column 2. So this one is the column 2, and this one I put here null. And then the next step is I press OK. So if you notice here, we only have the main product, 1 series, 2 series, 3 series, 4 series, 5 series. And then what I'll do is I will drag it to the left. So here we have the product. And then what we can do next is we just press right click, and then we go to fill and fill down. So this is how it looks like. This one you can actually put in a text format. So this is how it looks. And then we have these details. So here I want to remove the null, and I press OK. So now this is the information. We have the product model. This is the models, the main models. This is the specs, and this is the price. All right. So maybe you can actually combine this. So what I'll do is I'll try to combine this, go to transform, and then merge. And then I'll just put the custom, and then space dash, and then OK. So this one, what I'll name it is, this one is the car product. This one over here is the car models. And then here is the specs or the details of the car. And then this is the price in RM. So we have all these details. And then what we can do is we go to home, and then we can press close and load. But if they say I click on this arrow, we have close and load too. So when I press close and load too, like I told you in the PowerPoint slides earlier, we can load in table format, pivot table, or only create connection. So just say you press table, okay? I just put existing sheet over here and press OK. So right now, it will appear as a table format. Initially, we have this PDF. This PDF will tell us what are the models and what are the price. But over here, we do load as a table. We can actually load as a pivot table as well. So for example, over here, I can press here right click. So I press right click, and then I go to load to. Right click and load to. Then after that, I can load to pivot table. Okay, I just press here pivot table, and then I can just press here OK. So and OK. So there you go. It can actually load as a pivot table format. And the interesting part is, if just say I put here car models, and I can put here the RM. So we do have the RM. Okay, so of course the RM we need to change into a different format. Why the RM is not in the proper format? Because I need to change in a word, in a number format. So I need to go to data, queries connection, right click, edit. Okay, why I need to edit? Because if you look here carefully, the numbers here are not in a textual format. So I need to do some changes. I put here whole number, and then I press close and load. So now when I press close and load, so now you'll see the data will change. So right now, instead of count, you can actually put here sum. Okay, value field settings, and I put here sum, and okay. So right now you have these details, but I don't want this information. What I want to do is car models, car product. So here we have all the sum, but I don't want to know the sum. I want to know the average. So I can just click here, value field settings, or I can just right click, summarize value by. Summarize value by, and I click average. So once I click average, so we can see the average price for each particular product. And then it's not in the proper format. So I press right click, and then number format, accounting. I don't want the symbol. I don't want the decimal place. I press OK. So right now we can see the price of average price of each particular product. And you can also put like this, sort largest to smallest. So right now we can notice that XM series or the XM models product has the highest price for BMW. All right. So basically what we can learn from here is we can actually use Power Query to import data from a PDF and then eventually load as a pivot table over here. So my friends, did you learn something new? If you learned something new, can you type number 5 in the chat box? All right. So basically what we are doing right now is we are actually learning on Power Query. So in beautiful part is we can use Power Query and we can use pivot table as well. All right. So now we have already covered this. Now I need to teach you another part. Okay. So right now what we learn is we managed to learn how we use Power Query to import the data, and we also managed to learn how to calculate the average price for each car product. Now I want to import another data. So for example, over here, I want to open the stack data notepad. So if you notice over here, this is a notepad. The notepad name is, okay, let me close this. This notepad, its name is stack data. In this stack data, we have all the information. So Power Query, what it can do is it can import the data to the Excel file. So what I need to do is I need to go to data. Okay, I go to data, get data from file text CSV. Why I want to go here? Because I want to import from a notepad. What is my notepad? Let me show you. If you see over here, here we have a text document, a notepad. So if I open this, I want to import all this information. Instead of I copy and paste, I want to import this information. So what I want to do is, I will just go to my Excel file, data, get data from file, text CSV. Once I select text CSV, I will select the stack data and I press enter. So once I press enter, you will notice that this is the details and then I press load. So once I press load, automatically what happens is it will load the data to the Excel file. But I don't want in this format. I want in 3 different columns. Why I want 3 different columns? Because here we have transaction. Here we have the date, we have the company name, we have the RM. Here we have the date, we have the company name, we have the RM. So what I want to do is I want to make it into 4 different columns or 3 different columns. Okay, so how I'm going to do it is you can just go to query and then you can just press edit. Over here you can do it, or you can put here right click and you click here edit. So once you click edit, it will go to Power Query Editor. So what I want to do is I want to do some cleaning. Instead of appearing in one column, I want it to appear in 3 different columns. So I don't want a transaction. So I can use first row as header. So the transaction appears as the header. But if you look here carefully, we have 4 different types of data. Again, I repeat, we have 4 different types of data. First is the date, company name, RM, blank space. First is the date, second is the company name, third is the RM, and then blank space. So I want to actually change this, transform this data. So first step is I go to add column and I click index column. Index column is basically a sequence column. So the first step is I select index column. So when I select index column, you will notice that we do have a data starting from 0 up to the end. So it's like a sequence data. And then the next step is under add column, under the add column, we have standard. And then what I want to do is I want to select divide integer. So my friends, can you type number 6 if you can see divide integer? Can you type number 6 if you can see? Okay. So what is the difference between divide and divide integer? The difference is over here, which is the word called integer. Integer means it's a number without decimal places. Integer means it is the number without decimal places. So we select divide integer, a box will appear. So they ask us what number you want to divide. I want to divide with, if you see here, I have a column, I have a data on date. I have a data on company name. I have a data on the value and then blank space. So we do have 1, 2, 3, 4. We do have 4 types of data. One data is on the date for the company name, value, blank space. Date, company name, value, blank space. So it's like a pattern. It's every 4 types of data. So I press 4 and I press enter. So now you'll notice it has like a pattern 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. So the purpose is to create a pattern. Then I will select this index column. I will go to transform. I will go to standard and I will click modulo. Modulo means we'll click the remainder. Remainder means is the balance. So I'll click modulo and I will type here number 4 and enter. So right now you will notice that it has a pattern. 0 for date, 1 for company name, 2 for the value, 3 for the blank space. 0 for the date, 1 for the company name, 2 for the value, 3 for the blank space. So basically what you're seeing right now, it's like a pattern. So what I'm going to do next is I will select this column. Under transform, I will click on pivot column. And then what I want to do is I want to pivot the transaction column. Advanced option, I don't want to call. I just don't want to mix it. I will say don't aggregate. And then after that, I just press OK. So I press OK. Automatically, it will transform the data into 3 different columns. So I'll just remove here and I'll just remove here. And then what I can do is I can just load the data. So I need to clean the data first. So this one I'll put here as whole number. This is the date. Okay. But the problem, if you notice, the date is basically in an American date format. It's in an American date format, like 225 and so on. So what I want to do is I want to change the format. So I'll just go here using local, and I want to change the format to a normal date format. So I'll put here date, and I'll put here the date of Malaysia time. And I press OK. So I press OK. So of course, some of it you will have error. Okay, it doesn't matter. Maybe what I can do is I'll just change again. Okay, so you can use local, or you can just use a normal date format. Normal date format, you will have error because here is American date. So this one you need to change. But now mind, let me just remain. All right, so here this is the data. So here we have the date, and here we have the company, and then here we have the RM. So this is the data. So what I want to do next is I'll just go to home and close and load. So once I press close and load, eventually it will change the data. So right now, if just say, we can take modulo, okay, there's a question in the chat box. We can take modulo directly without, it will affect the sequence. Okay, meaning to say there's a question in the chat box. Can we do modulo directly? Well, if just say you do modulo directly, because when it comes to pivot column, okay, just say I go here. If just say I never insert this step, so if just say I click this and I press delete. Okay, so once I click this and I press pivot column, you will notice there is an error. So Aishwarya, do you notice? Okay, so basically this is why you need to have a step so that it doesn't disturb the data. All right, so for example, add the index column. So this column, we need to go to add column, standard, divide integer, divide number 4. Okay, so I'll just put here insert and I put here 4. Okay, so once I put 4, so now we have this data. So now we have this pattern, then you will have the correct answer. Because that one is like basically a dummy column. All right, so that's the purpose of it. So you go here, now we do have this data. The interesting part is, just say I go to my notepad. I go here, I will click on my stack data. Okay, so here we have all this data over here. So I put a blank space, and then just say I put the date, which is 17 November 2024. And I put here COE, and I put here just say 9,000. Okay, if you notice carefully, I have added a new information, COE 17 November 9,000. So when I press save, of course, I have saved this data. I've saved this. So now what happened is when I press right click and I press refresh, you will notice that a new data has been added. So my friends, do you notice the difference? If you notice, can you type number 7 in the chat box? Okay, so basically, this is what Power Query is. Actually, Power Query, that what I'm teaching right now is just 5%. Okay, it's just 5% only. We learn how to import data from PDF. We learn how to import data from a notepad. But also after this, we will do what? How we can actually do in a real working world. Like for example, over here, if just say I open part 3. Let me just open part 3. So of course, here we have all our messy data. All right, like something like this and so on. Or maybe let me just open another file so that it can be relevant to your work. Okay, but let me see. This one also not so relevant. Maybe let me go to another part. Okay, maybe part 1. All right, so part 1 is relevant to your work because what if just say your manager wants to do 3 things, okay? So from this given data, normally in our Excel file, the data will be very messy, all right? So in this given data, it's very hard for me to understand what is the monthly sales, okay? Just say I want 3 requirement. Let me open a sticky note. So I'll just open a sticky note. So just assume your manager from this given database as a data analyst, your manager wants to do 3 things. Number one is your manager wants to know what are the monthly sales. What are the monthly sales? And also your manager wants to know the month on month performance. That's what your manager wants to know. Okay, that's number one. Number two, what else your manager wants to know? Your manager also want to know actually what are the top five Apple product models. Because here we have iPhone 13, MacBook, Apple Watch series. So your manager wants to know what are the top five models. And then the third thing is your manager wants to know the Apple product sales, meaning the total sales and its percentage allocation. So how we are going to use Power Query and pivot table to solve this data. So let's get started. So now I'm going to go to my other Excel file. Okay, but before I go to my other Excel file, I need to show you. Here we have a column on the products, a column on the product models. We have January, February, March. So your manager have a requirement whereby you will need to calculate the monthly sales. How much is January? How much is February? How much is March? And then what are the top five product models? And then what is the Apple product sales, like MacBook, how much, Apple Watch, how much, and its percentage allocation. So how we are going to solve this? I need to go to my Excel file. I go to data. I click get data. I will go to from file. I click Excel workbook. So the Excel workbook, I'll choose part one because that's the file that I'm going to import, and I press import. So once I press import, then what I'll do is I will just select the sheet name. So if just say you were to press load, when you press load, automatically it will load in a new sheet, something like this. But like this, it doesn't solve my question. It doesn't know what are the monthly sales. So what I want to do is I go to query and I click edit. Once I click edit, right now what you will notice is this will go to transform Power Query editor, and it is where we can do the data transformation. So this column is not necessary. I can actually remove this column because the first column is not necessary. I remove. Then the first row over here is not necessary. So what you can do is you can remove. So go here, remove top row. Why top row? Because that's the first row. Remove top row. And how many rows you want to remove? I want to remove the first row. So 1 and enter. So I have already removed this. So right now, these are the data. So what I'll do is I will just press right click and then I go to fill and fill down. So right here you have iPhone, MacBook, Apple Watch, iPad, other. But of course, if you notice over here, this row is not necessary, but later I'll clean the data. And then over here, we have January, February. So when I scroll to the right, we have up to December. So what I want to do is I want to promote the first row as the header. To promote the first row as the header, you can either go use first row as header over here, which is under home, and click use first row as header, whereby the first row will be promoted as the header, or you can go to transform, you can click it over here. Either way, it works. So I click like this. So you'll notice that January, February, March has been promoted as the header. And then if you notice over here, here I have total, here I have null. Here I have total, here I have null. So what I want to do is, I want to filter out. So I click here, I unselect the null, I unselect the total. And then I press OK. So right now it looks better. So here we have the products and here we do have the models. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to select these two columns, right click, unpivot other column, unpivot other column. I'm going to select this, and just like that, it has transposed the data. So here we do have for product, here we do have the models, here we do have the months, and here we do have the value. So I'm going to change this to number. And there you go. And then go to home and close and load. So once I press close and load, automatically you'll notice that the data has been transformed. But what is the next step? You see, like I told you, from here, I want to know the monthly sales, top 5 product, Apple product, and its percentage allocation. So here I can't see. So what I need to do is I need to load as pivot table. Right click, load to, and then I click here pivot table. and I press OK. So automatically when I press OK, it will load as a pivot table. So if just say you want months, I click here months, and then I click here value. So this is the monthly performance. So I just press here right click, and then I just go to number format. I will put here accounting, no decimal places, and no symbol. So just like this, we do have these details. And then what I can do is I'll put the value again. And then what I'll do is right click and then show value as percentage different from. So percentage different from, I put here previous and okay. So right now, you can understand, because as a data analyst, we need to analyze what is the monthly performance. So January is about 25 million. February is 24 million. March is 23 million. So over the period, the sales of Apple products has been reducing. So you can just put here, this is the sales, monthly sales, and this is the trending. Okay. Then if you note at my sticky note, I say here what? I told you I want to calculate the monthly sales and the month-on-month performance. So I can tell to my manager that the sales of Apple product is basically reducing over the months. Then I also want to know the top 5 Apple products. So what I'm going to do is I highlight this, copy, and then I paste. So here, I don't want the months. So I remove the value. I remove the months. I want models. I want value. So over here, what I'll do is I'll just right click over here, and then I will just sort largest to smallest. Okay, so we notice iPhone 14, iPad, iPhone 14. Right click, number format, accounting, no decimal, and remove decimal zero places. Okay, there you go. So now it looks better. So what I want is top 5, not everything. So I just click this, value filter, top 10. Why I select top 10? Because I want to know the top 5 data. Top 10, I put here 5. I put here okay. So over here, we can understand what are the top 5 performing products in Apple. So iPhone 14, iPad 10, Apple Watch is dominating the Apple market. And then I copy this again and I paste it over here. And here what I do is I will unselect the models and I will select the products. So we have all the products. I'll put the value one more time. And this one, right click, show value as percentage of grand total. So this one can determine the allocation of each product. So I put it over here so we can understand that iPhone dominate the market. So I just want to put here right click, sort largest to smallest. So we understand that in Apple product, it is dominated by iPhone. And if just say you want to improvise the data, you can just do one more time. So here we have this data over here, and then you can just highlight all these, conditional formatting, data bar. You can just select any color you want. So I want this color, and then conditional formatting, manage rule. So edit rule, because why I want to edit rule? Because I don't want the numbers. I want the bar only, show bar only. Click this, and then you just change the color so can, and then there you go. So once I press OK, so you will notice that that is our data. So this is the sales, this is the trending, this is also the sales, and also this is the performance, and so on. So what we can do is, if you look here carefully, this is our original data source. This is our original working report. Sometimes you get from your manager, sometimes you get from email. But using Power Query and pivot table, we can perform data transformation and data analysis. So here we find the monthly sales and its month on month performance. Meanwhile, here we can actually determine the top 5 Apple product models. Here, Apple products and its allocation in percentage. So what we learn from here is we can use Power Query and pivot table to get our job done. So basically from here, we learn something new. We learn how we can prepare a monthly report. We can prepare a top 5 data, and also we can determine the percentage. So my friends, did you learn something? If you learn something, can you type yes in the chat box? All right, so basically what we learned today, number one is we learn how to import data from PDF, we learn how to do data transformation, and we load in pivot table. Number two, we learn how to import data from a notepad, and we learn how to do data transformation, and we load it as a table in Excel file. And the next one is we did data transformation and data analysis using Power Query and pivot table. So basically, once you know these two skills, you can actually put this in your portfolio. You can actually put this in your resume. And of course, you can actually perform this during your work. It's very useful for your work on work performance. So my friends, do you have any questions? If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, I will pass the session to Akriti. Akriti, over to you.
Guys, do we have any questions? Ellen, there is a question from Ishwarya.
Mhm.
How we can mention this on our resume?
Okay, so basically, of course, you can see that you have a computer skills regarding Power Query and pivot table. So knowing Power Query, because Power Query can help you to do ETL. All right, so let me show to Aishwarya and also friends. You see, ETL is a very, very big topic. So let me just go to this internet. Okay, so I'm going to type here ETL Wikipedia. Because ETL also know, like I told you, extract, transform, load. Okay. So basically, this is basically the mind map used by the computer experts or IT experts. Because when you work in a company, you will have sources in the form of database. It may be from the SAP, Oracle, Bloomberg Professional, Thomson Reuters. It could be on particular software. So how you want to put it, how you want to import the data, transform the data, and load the data. Because when you send a report to your manager, okay, you send a report, you will not send your report in a PDF, not like this. Managers, they don't see that. Maybe managers, they want graph. Managers want chart. So to answer Aishwarya question, how I can put in resume? Of course, you can put the word Power Query. So you actually enhance your ETL skills where you know how to import a data and also perform data transformation, something like this, and eventually perform data analysis. So when you know Power Query, you know data transformation. What I showed you right now is data transformation. What I showed you right just now is data analysis. So when you know Power Query and when you know pivot table, you can actually perform the task of data transformation and data analysis. Data transformation is cleaning the data. Data analysis means analysis, like for example, we have descriptive analysis, we have diagnostic analysis, predictive analysis, prescriptive, prescript, prescriptive analysis. Okay, what is descriptive analysis? You describe. Describe means, that means from here we notice that the our data is actually reducing over the months. That is describing. Diagnostic means you understand why it reduced. Maybe because February, March is a warm period, it's a summer, or February, March, there is no festivals in India. So that is diagnostic why. Predictive means you using these numbers, you must able to forecast what is the sales in April, May. Because here we have January, February, March. So predictive means by having some analysis, roughly you can estimate where the numbers is going. Prescriptive means taking actions to cater the future. Because predictive means you are predicting the future. So to answer your question, Aishwarya, how I can put in my resume? Of course, you can ask ChatGPT how to make a better word, Power Query, and also Power Query and pivot table, you can ask ChatGPT, you can just change the words. But with knowing Power Query and pivot table, you can perform data transformation and data analysis. Data transformation means cleaning the data from a messy data into a single tabular format. Data analysis means something like this, whereby you can able to perform descriptive analysis, like describing whether the sales has reduced, what is the highest sales, and so on. Diagnostic means you understand the story behind the numbers, why it's reduced. Number three, since you have the current data, you can potentially forecast and predict the future. And since we are able to predict, are we have any steps that we can taken to mitigate the action? Like for example, now if just say future coronavirus or COVID something happen, so at least you have some mitigation or steps to cater for the future. So Aishwarya, did I answer your question? You can say yes, you can say no. Okay, so she say yes. Okay, so all right. So anyone with any questions? No, never mind. I will just try to save this file. Then I will send to y'all.
Two things, Ellen. Kindly share one this PowerPoint in this chat. And one more
Okay.
thing, like the YouTube series that you have covered in this, if you could tell like how people can practice Excel and Power BI datasets, that will be helpful. I know you have covered in some of your sessions, but if you cover in a YouTube live, it will be like saved.
Yeah, actually, I did cover this topic. Maybe I will share in the WhatsApp group. Later. Yeah, I can't remember what is the when I posted this, but I got shared this long time ago. Yeah.
Sure, Ellen. If possible, try to cover it in one of your YouTube sessions so that it can be helpful to everyone. If you share
Yeah,
in
yeah, no
WhatsApp,
worries.
it will be
Yeah, yeah, I'll
limited
share
up
in
to
a
very
while.
few people.
Any other questions, guys? Okay, then. Thank you, Ellen, for the valuable knowledge you have shared with us. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. And if you have any questions, any like you need any help, so please feel free to reach out to us and have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.